things are just gone. So they're walking around, they're doing things like Jesus did, only it's becoming normal. And this is really happening. We don't know if they have a different DNA, but what they did say, and you can show in here, is they've taken DNA and put it into a petri dish and had the kids sit there and look at it, and they have machines set up that were watching the spectrum of the DNA, and the kids can change the DNA with their thoughts. They've even been able to do it from a distance of 10,000 kilometers away. They've sent the kids to the United States. And while they're here, make a telephone call and said, okay, now, and the scientists are back there, and say now, and so they know the timing is exactly when the kids are doing it, and they can sit there and watch the DNA change. Well, if they can do it, we can do it. You know? This is real. And, you know, we've all been sitting around waiting for something to happen. Well, while we've all been waiting, the kids did it. It's coming from the children, from our children, from your children. Your children have done it. And the beauty about all of this was, about this time, was written right in the Bible also. The children will lead the way. Lead the way. Meaning that we can follow them. We can follow their example. We can change also, if we choose. It's up to us. We don't have to. We can just sit here in this weird stuff if we want forever. But we can alter our own DNA in response to whatever is appropriate for us. And I don't know what that is. But I know this can be done. Because many of the children, the indigo children, are no longer children. They're finding the same change in adults that didn't have it before. You remember in the experiment in Japan, which we now call the 100th monkey theory, where they were watching these little Japanese monkeys, and there was this one female monkey. And by the way, it's almost all females who are doing this. It's a ratio, a very, very high ratio of females that know this, are able to do this in a much smaller level of males. But it was a little female monkey who learned how to take the sweet potato that had sand all over it and wash it. And then she taught her other kids how to do it. And then the moms sat there and said, hey, that's a pretty good idea. And they started doing it too. And it got to a certain number, and nobody knows what that number is, but it reached approximately 100. And when it did, bam, in a single moment of time, in less than one day, in less than 24 hours, it spread over the entire island. They all started washing them. It spread to other islands that were not even connected, and islands, many different islands, and all the monkeys of that species started washing their potatoes. It even spread to the mainland of Japan, where these monkeys started washing the potatoes, and it did it in like that. And I think that we're approaching that same thing. These children are changing the DNA. The adults are following behind them and doing this also, and we're rapidly approaching the 100th monkey in terms of this. I mean, this appears this way. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it doggone seems to be happening. That's for sure. And so, I mean, what do you say? Except that this is really very, very beautiful. You know, our governments right now are trying to figure out how China got all their secrets. These kids are demonstrating how they can go sit in a room and remove all the information out of a computer. They've also found out, which is the same thing that we've discovered, that psychic effects are stronger at a distance. The farther away you go, the more powerful they are. So sitting from China, they're much more powerful, they're able to do it better, and they can just go right into any of the Pentagon's computers and anything else and just remove them out. They don't have to come over here and do any espionage. They're already at this level. And I don't think that our government's going to want to bring that up. If it, you know, I mean, this is too scary to realize that there's a government out there that is developing a power, and they are developing this as a military power. There's no doubt. The government of China has now corralled all of these children together, and they're creating schools, and they're focusing them and teaching them how to do this. Another really interesting result is that many of the kids originally came out as naturally having the abilities. But then when they found that they found out how to teach other kids that did not naturally have the abilities, and the end result is the same. There's no difference. There's no, a natural psychic and a taught psychic are the same. The only difference is if the psychic has heart, if they love people. Only the psychics that love people can heal. The ones that do not are more into their ego, because you can have a lot of ego and still be involved in this, because it doesn't mean you're enlightened just because you can do all these things. They can't heal people. There's their main psychic there, when this guy who was one of the original ones, he naturally was one of the first people. He's famous throughout China, and everybody has to constantly preen his ego all the time, because if he thinks for a moment, and he can read your mind, if you don't like him or anything like that, he'll do things to you to really hurt you. I mean, he set people's clothes on fire and everything. He gets angry, and so this is pretty clear that enlightenment and psychic development are not necessarily aligned, but the best healer in China was not a natural person. He learned it, and he learned it by studying Qigong. And what's happening now is all the kids and all the adults that have emerged out into that are learning how to do this are doing it by studying Qigong, studying the flow of prana through their body. And I find it interesting that the Chinese who have studied the flower of life and the Merkaba that we teach, they're calling this the Western Qigong, because it's a way of accessing prana directly. And you can either access it through all life around you, or you can access it directly through you, but it's really the same thing. Psychic abilities and healing are tied directly from the Chinese were directly through prana, through life force energy. There is a very, very, very definite connection between the two. Okay. I think this is enough time of talking. What we're going to do now is we've actually ended up 28 minutes early. This is great, because it'll give us more time in the other end, which we really wanted to do. We're going to go to lunch now, and we can actually have an hour and 10 minutes. Since we were trying to push it before, because I know it's close. Well, we usually do an hour and a half, but we're trying to push it. So we've made enough time here. And when you come back, I'd ask you to do two things. First of all, pick a partner. Pick somebody you want to work with, because we're going to do some work that will be able to bring this understanding directly into you. And then second of all, to bring back, you all don't have to do this because we can't do everybody in the audience, but some of you bring back a photograph of perhaps a building, or say a person or a building that you're familiar with, like your house or something like that. Or you could use your driver's license or anything else like that. And at one point we're going to give a demonstration with this young woman on how you can actually see without your eyes. And so I'm just going to have people come up here at random, and you will be able to see for yourself that this is really real. And I don't know what else she'll do. Who knows? I don't know. But it's up to her. She'll take it on. So if you'll just bring back the photograph and choose a partner that you can work with. Choose somebody you like. It helps a lot. Just 1 second, yeah.
It's very important that the picture is very fresh.
You? Okay. One more. Wait. Her mom, Emma, just said it's easiest for her if you pick a picture that's new, that's relatively new, not like years and years and years old, because she goes by vibrations. And the vibrations, as the picture gets older and older and older, it's harder to sense. So if you pick pictures that are relatively